another episode of our very amazing series that we are running at this time. Why I chose my wife. I am happy to have you join us for our third episode in this particular series, and we have our guest here already. So we're just going to dive into the conversation. There's no need for long talk. Okay. All right, so let's get right into. Oh, okay. I just saw a light. Good morning, Deborah. I can see Deborah. Yeah, good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us as well. That is Daniel's wife. Okay, I'm trying to. Okay, we're trying to go live. I'm not sure. Okay, maybe it's just a bit of network. All right. So what is going on here is that perhaps there's a network hiccup. Let me try to cancel and invite. Maybe that would work. Okay, good. Yes, that's finally worked. Daniel, thank you so much for choosing to do this. I'm really grateful.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you can hear me because I can hear you, but you can hear me.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you perfectly well.
Perfect.
And good to your wife as well, who is here with us.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, when I reached out to you, and like I also put it in my caption, well, you already know what I do, and of course, a lot of people watching here already know what I do as well. There seems to be which is one of the mindsets that I'm fighting, is the mindset that there's marriage scarcity, marriages are bad, marriages are terrible, people are dying, maybe not dying is the word, but you have all these very, very serious, like I always say, allegations against marriage because people are seeing a few things happening with celebrity marriages based on the fact that they're celebrities. So lives out there and whatnot. But one of the arguments I continue to make is you don't know what is going on in other people's marriages that are not celebrities. So you cannot use a person who is popular to judge a particular situation. But this mindset still continues to plague young people who are unmarried but want to get married. It plagues them, the kind of partners they're choosing, who they don't choose, and even the belief that a great marriage is possible. So we did an episode with women, that was last year, just all women, but now we're doing episode with all men, so that men can even tell us why they even choose the woman that they have chosen to become their wife. I know it's different from different people, but we're going to get principles that are pretty much the same. So I'll start out with the question. Good morning, Joma. Thank you for joining in. I'll start out with the question, why did you choose your wife? You got married recently. You can let us know at the time of this record, because this video will be there for years, and it will not be the same years again. So at this time of this the recording, you can let us know how long you've been married for and why you chose your wife. Then we'll go on to dissect what made you decide to get married and some of these other myths that will demystify. Welcome again, and thank you.
Thank you for having me. Why I chose my wife, when you reached out to me, I just chuckled a bit when I saw what it's all about and what the question would be. And then I thought to myself, I think before even going to why I chose my wife, it would be I would first like to answer the question why I chose marriage, because I also think that a lot of people are not even up for marriage. The concept of marriage is becoming some sort of outdated for some people, for some reason, and there are many reasons why you find that to be so. I found that we live in an age that is globalized, and so by virtue of the internet, we can communicate with people in different continents, in different countries, while that has had its advantages, it also had its disadvantages. And one of which is that, like you mentioned, anybody can become a celebrity just by consistently churning out something out there that will be content. Value is also not objective anymore. It's depending on the perception of certain type of people. So if you have a following of 10,000 people that believe that what you are churning out is valuable, then it's valuable to them, right? So they also will become celebrities, and then you see them modeling certain lifestyles that maybe it's not, we cannot even say it's traditional, or we cannot even say it's what we have known. And if you look at history, it's not what you find in history when you speak of marriage, because what we're having now, for instance, in the Western world, you have what is called civil union or civil partnership. So it's a bit similar to marriage, but what you have there is that you do not have there's so much commitment to marriage like you have. You will not have the commitment you have in civil partnership like you would have in marriage. And I was also checking out one of the requirements. It's just really signing up a paper that speaks to, oh, we're just going to be cohabiting together. So people are trying to look for ways to boycott marriage, so that they can just coexist together without the responsibility that comes with marriage. And rightly so, you'd have to give them the benefit of the doubt, because divorce is also on the rise. I was just checking stats recently, and I saw that in the 60s you have about 2.2%. So that's about 22 out of 1,000 people marriages filed for divorce. But in the 80s it rose up to about 5%. That's about 50 out of 1,000. As at last year, 2022, it's about 50%. That's 500 out of 1,000. That's 1 out of every 2 marriages filed for divorce. You can see that staggering. So people are looking for ways to not talk about marriage, ways to live together, and not talk about marriage. Here, if you look at Africa, Nigeria, and other countries that are not even thinking about civil partnership and union, as it were, you also find them doing stuff like just cohabiting. People not wanting to go to the law to register their marriage, so it's not called marriage by the eyes in the eyes of the law. So they just do something. They just arrange something with family. Some people will not even pay dowry. Some men will even deliberately just impregnate a woman, and then that's the end of it. So just so that they have something that is a similitude of marriage, but it's not marriage. So I think the first thing is to first choose marriage before now thinking of what partner you want to choose. For me, I had to choose marriage. Then again, I had to choose marriage again and again, because beyond my faith, I'm a Christian. And I believe in the Bible and in the Word of God, and I believe that God is the author of marriage. Beyond even that, it made sense to me. It made sense. So you think about it. You're going to have to raise children in this world, and whether that's a decision for you or not, that's a giving with society for continuity. You can't even argue that. You are here and you are alive, you are breathing because 2 people came together and decided that they were going to have children. That's why anybody's alive. So nobody fell from anywhere. There's no other, there are not 2 options as to how to procreate for humans. It's just one way. A male and a female would have to come together and meet, and there'll be a child and there's children. While that is important, and while that's important for continuity in societies, just also touch to know that there are certain countries where you find that even there's a problem with the fact that there are not many procreation. And so they are having to invite other people from other countries to say, come on, our population is old. So the major percentage of the population, say like 70 or 60% of the population are elderly people. So they need to begin to reach out to other countries that are developing to say, come to our country, so that they are actually looking for workforce. So for society to even be sustainable, there has to be continuity in terms of the fact that there has to be procreation, right? And so countries like Nigeria and other countries within Africa, we just opt for many things aside of marriage. For me, it made sense logically because 1, procreation is important. Secondly, it made sense because if you would want to give yourself to procreation, if you want to contribute to society, and make sure that there's continuity, the best environment for your children would be a family. Check it out. Check out history. No matter how you want to drag it, it will be a family, and it will be between a man and a woman. It takes those two components to raise a healthy child, whether it be a boy or a girl. So marriage makes sense, right? So I have to first of all choose marriage in a world where marriage is becoming extinct. Now, to answer your question, why I chose my wife, I think that while after I've chosen marriage, then I also began to think of who would then be my wife. I've said that I'm a Christian, and what that means is that I hold to heart what God says regarding marriage. And so I had to narrow down amongst the many women that were in my sphere in terms of contact, proximity. I had to narrow down what I wanted. And for me, it became simple because I had something to focus on. I had to focus on a boundary, which is the Word of God. And so focusing on the Word of God, I found out that there are a number of things that I had to look out for. First, she has to be a child of God. So that narrowed down the numbers. So as many, I stayed in Lagos, I grew up in Lagos. But the number of people that had access to in Lagos were just few. Nobody, as an individual, have access to everybody in the world, right? Despite the internet. But even that number that you have access to is a lot. So there's also a clash as to who do I pick. For me, I had to narrow it down to this person has to be a child of God, not just a baby Christian. If you're a Christian, you understand what I mean. You have to have grown with God for a while and understand what it means to love God and find purpose for yourself. So what I'm saying is that I expected that my wife would come whole, knowing what she wants for herself, knowing what God would have her do on earth, and knowing her place in marriage. So he had narrowed down the number of women I had who were friends or who I was proximity to. Narrowing that down means that the places I was going to look for my bride will be in churches, right? Will be in church gatherings, will be in meetings where, youth meetings. So those are the meetings where I'm going to find my bride, whether I like it or not. Whether it's virtual meetings or whether it's physical meetings, but it has to be within that context. Having narrowed that down, then you can have a Christian who's a male or a female, a man or a woman, but is not matured to become a husband or a wife. I expected that I'm going to marry a wife, not somebody who's still trying to become a wife. What that means, amongst many things, is that for me, and what I've seen in the Bible, is that it means that this is somebody who would understand the role of a wife and be willing to submit to it. And for me, the crux of that matter is that she's willing to submit her purpose, her will into mine, and we will be able to fuse it as one. And from my little experience, I see that there are many godly Christians, women out there who have not gotten to that place because of the feminism and all of the things that are out there, saying that women must fight for their rights and all of that. I'm not saying that that is not beautiful, but what I'm saying is that the marriage that I'm subjecting to, which is one from God and which we can find in the Bible, is such that the wife submits to the husband as the church submits to Christ, and the husband loves his wife as Christ loves the church. And so for me, it was more of, can this lady submit to me? So this is a simple question. Beyond beauty, which is important, beyond feelings, which is important, beyond the physical things, which is important, can this woman submit to me as I continue to try to submit to Christ and as Christ submits to God? I believe that's the order that can sustain a marriage through the many years that it needs to stay on earth. I'd also say that I believe in the concept of heaven and hell, and that marriage is only a thing that we will see here. So at best, you're going to be married for 70, 80 years, at best. If you live up to 120, you're going to be married for 70, 80, 90 years. So it would take, and you're going to see a lot. You're going to see a lot of things. I've been married for just 7 months, so we're still a very new couple. But for me, I had to count the cost. So I believe that with marriage, you have to go in with the notion that you're not coming out. Even the law, that's the civil law, do not expect you to come to say that you want to divorce. Although divorce is, you know, a remedy to if you cannot coexist again together. But the law in itself, when you're coming to present yourself for marriage or the concept of matrimony, the law does not even expect you to say that you're not doing it again. So even the law, which is the law of man, expects you to span it till both of you die, right? So if you begin to think of it like that, you see that there's a lot of cost that needs to be counted. And for me, it meant that if we must subject ourselves to something, it will be the Bible. And I do not need to be arguing with her as to would you subject to the Bible or not, will you submit to me or not. She has to have made that decision herself, by herself. I also have made my decision to love her as Christ loves the church. And so when we met as friends in the church, it was a teenage gathering, and I was just serving there as one of the leaders there. And she was also in the meeting. She came. I didn't know at the time that she was a Briton that came in to just spend a couple of months in Lekki. The church was in Lekki, in Lagos. I didn't know at the time that she was there, but we were just friends, and it was easy to be friends with her. And then just being friends with her with no intentions and all of that, I began to see her spirit and where her growth is. And when we began to discuss, it became obvious that our head is in the same place. And when I made the bold step, she thought about it, prayed about it, and she also, you know, came up with a yes gracefully, which is favor. And there you go. We're here now 7 months and still counting. But I hope that I've answered your questions.
Yes, you have answered my question, Daniel, and I really like how you started, because beyond sharing your story, we are also learning and picking principles from some of the important things that you've been saying. And I'm here for it. So that's one of my best parts. Thank you so much for sharing this part of it. Now, let's speak about this, the physical attraction side. Some men seem to be so much in a dilemma when it comes to choosing a partner. I'm talking about even Christian men now. They will tell you, oh, I like the front, I like the back. Oh, this is the kind of face I like. This is not the kind of face I like. And we're asking, okay, what about the inner beauty? What of the inside? Have you taken out time? And yeah, the person is just like, I'm coming first. So well, maybe you can share your own story. For you, how were you able to say beyond physical beauty, this is what I want to choose? Or did it also affect as well? So you can share with us, and also please share men that currently are in a dilemma that feel, okay, I've seen a particular girl, I've seen her, I like her, but physically she doesn't have all that. I've had men tell me that she's not as I want. I just have to be honest with you, SAGENEL. What do you have to say to such people, and how can young men navigate that? Because it seems to be like it's still some sort of headache. It looks like it shouldn't be if you say you're a Christian, but it still is. So how do we navigate this physical beauty? She has everything, but she doesn't have everything. How do we navigate that situation?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. I think it's always a big one for men when men say it, and it's also a very difficult one for women to grasp, to understand. It feels like a mystery to women. So I think that it's first a thing of the fact that we're first born as sinners. So the first thing we must understand, that we were introduced to the world in our natural state. And in that natural state, we came as sinners. So there are tendencies in us that is prone to that. And I'll speak to the natural tendency of a man. The natural tendency of a man is such that what he desires in a woman are sensitive parts. The front, like you have mentioned, and the back, those are the things that he desires innately just by seeing, just by sight. Just like women would also, if you know, in their natural self, more so fall in love, or just be more close to a guy who knows how to talk sweetly, who knows to make her laugh. So her ears are important. So a woman would she can even be married, love her husband, but if there's a guy in the office that can make her laugh, she'll like to spend time with him. But we don't blame women for that, right? You see? So I'm just trying to differentiate to say that these are natural tendencies, but we expect the Christian to be better, to have outgrown it over time. But unfortunately, in the church, there are a mix of people, right? There are a mix of people. So it means that there are people who have grown, there are people who are growing, there are people that who just and everybody wants to marry because they are adults now. The legal age across board is 18, except in China, which for the guy is 22 and for the ladies 20. But across board, mention any country, it's usually 18, right? So these people who are just coming into God to die to certain things, if you talk about it in the Christian term, from the Christian point of view, are still struggling with certain fleshly tendencies, right? So they're still struggling with certain things that some of them have even owned. Imagine a guy who have had to go through the university, and in the days where he was in his teenage age and the early 20s, he bragged in having to be able to date 5 ladies and none of them finding out. That was his badge. That was how he made himself feel cool to his friends. I'm dating this one, and I'm dating this one, I'm dating this one. And you expect that type of guy to be ready for marriage and look at only you. That's going to be very difficult. A spirit will have to work on him. Something will have to happen to him to change. So to answer your question, that a guy who focuses on the front side, on the back side, is usually still not so in his natural state, and that is nature for a man. Just as women hearing the voice of a guy who knows how to be funny, who's humorous, who knows how to gist, who knows how to listen to your gist, spend time with you, spend money, take you shopping, so that's a cool guy. The guy is romantic. It makes sense to a woman if a guy is like that. The same way a woman who has big back, big front, and she knows how to carry herself, knows how to put on the makeup. It makes sense to a guy like that as well in his natural state. So, but what you would now expect from the matured Christian is that they grow up, they come up hither, like I would like to put it. You grow up from that. So what that will mean is that you begin to die to just short tendencies and begin to find what you call inner beauty, what is more than backside and what is more than front side. For instance, somebody who God has dealt with for a period of years, and it takes time, really, will begin to see that a woman who is wife is supposed to be help meet for him. And what I mean by help meet for him doesn't have anything to do with money or anything. In the first instance, what I'm talking about is purpose. What is his purpose on earth? So the guys are talking about big bombs and all of that. Have they come to find why they are here on earth in the first place? So that's the real problem. And so if a guy knows that I have a purpose that I must fulfill before I leave the earth, which the person who will mark it is no man, is God. It's God that will say I've done well or not. And I need a help to assist me with that. How can bomb help in the destiny of a man? Or how can breast help in the destiny of a man? You see, you begin to see beyond that. You begin to see beyond that, but it's about growth. So I've tried to give you the levels in which you operate, which it is. It's just nature. Women should not be surprised when the guy says I want. It's just the natural. It's just that person has not died to self, and that death is daily. It doesn't mean that the ones that you see, the powerful men of God, do not have those tendencies. It's just that it's very weak. It doesn't control them again. They control it because they operate in the spirit more so. Do you understand? The Bible says that, permit me to quote the Bible, says that whom you give yourself to, you become a slave to. If you give yourself to God, you become a slave to God. If you give yourself to the devil or to sin or to self, you become a slave to self. So man or woman in itself really do not have a say in things. It's about what you give yourself to, right? So I think that it's about growth. So if a guy has been in church and has been honest with his growth with God, he will see beyond the physical tendency of a woman, which is also important in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, so how do we reconcile this situation of men, young men, having or not having a certain kind of financial stability and them claiming that that is a reason for them not getting married? And so, inadvertently, what happens on the opposite, which is what you were talking about now, is that when they have money, even when you've not found purpose, you now think you found purpose, or you now think you are ready for marriage because you have money. But let's start, it's a two-in-one question, but let's start out with this. Well, of course, the economy globally is not even a Nigerian thing. Everybody's talking about it. Financial forecasters are saying it might be worse, and so on and so on at the time of this recording, which is 2023. How do we speak? What do we say to men who don't have it all financially, and they've been disappointed? Some of them would tell me it's because of their disappointment with some other women. That's why they are not going further to get married. But what do you have to say to such men who truly want to get married, but they think, no, I have to have 2 million naira first before I make it happen? What do you want to say to that before we move to the other part where people think having money is equals to getting married, getting ready for marriage?
All right, thank you. I think that depending on the society with which you look at it, there are certain men in the Western world who already can see their life not even as pertaining to God now, just on the earth play out. So they know that if I'm done with my university, I'll get a job, I'll get a good job. There are credit facilities where I know I'll get a car, I'll get a mortgage, I'll get a house. They can see it all planned out, right? But so there are men in Africa, in Nigeria that I know, and that's where I grew up. These men cannot see a future. They cannot see it. And that's the truth. And if you expect a man to lead a family and he cannot even boast of saying, I do not even know when we will get out of poverty. I do not know when. So he's actually being honest. He's not trying to be wayward or anything. He just does not see a way out. And so in marriage, we all know that when push comes to shove, in the matter of finances, you tell it, husband, do something now. When push comes to shove, he's the man, and he knows that it will fall on him. And so he doesn't want to make a move that would jeopardize the woman, his family. So he's being careful. As much as he's trying to calculate, he really cannot see anything. I'll give you instances. In the 70s, I interfaced with elderly people, and I've heard people say that the naira was equal, 1 naira was equal to the euro, or even to the pound, or even more than in the 70s. And so our parents who were matured in the 70s, who were getting married in the 70s, really saw a better life. Then people just go abroad to visit and not stay. Nobody's Japan anywhere. Everybody comes back to Nigeria because why would I go out? The naira was better. But to speak of the people who are the men who are in the age where we would say is ripe for marriage, they were giving birth to in the late 80s, early 90s, right? In the 90s, they're in their 30s, in their late 30s, thereabout. These are the ones that you say they should get married. They've never seen their society, for instance, Nigeria, get better. They've seen it get worse. So you want somebody that's earning 100K with the inflation now to get married. He doesn't know. He knows that the 100K is not even enough for him. He knows that if his mom comes now and say, I'm not eating, he cannot do but send something to her. If his sibling come now, if one guy say, I need to get 2K, he can't. And so he's wondering, how do I make it work? And so the guy is learning several skills. He has skill 1, skill 2, skill 3, skill 4, mastered all of them. He's a tailor, he's a graphic designer, he's a website designer, he's everything, and then none of them is working. He's trying, he's pushing, he's not sleeping. Nigerian guys are not lazy. I know. Most African guys are not lazy, very, very hardworking. But what would you find? How about the guy who comes from the East, who, unfortunately, even the guys that go to school cannot boast of assuring a woman to say this future will be better? Is it the guy that did not go to school who has to work? Is it the one that will not promise you a future? So that's the problem. So the problem is really society, and a man in terms of money cannot see how it would work, because beyond the visage that woman wants to talk about, beyond the I want a beautiful home. You know, women think in emotions. I want a grand wedding. You know, I want the ring I want. What you are saying, you are just describing the diamond and the silver and how you will be glowing. The guy is thinking of the price. And he knows he can't buy it. And he can't steal it either. So what will he do? The guys, because he's a Christian and he's trying to, you know, protect his integrity, the guys he has had to compete too are Yahoo boys. Those are the guys that spend money, and you compare him today, to your mate. And he's saying, I'm not going to steal for any reason. I've gone to school, I've done the best that I can, I've learned this skill, I've learned that skill, I've learned this skill. What more can I do? And the woman say, I can go together, we can grow together. But then again, the woman does not see it as logical like the guy sees it, because he's the one that's supposed to see the vision. What she wants is, I want a grand. The woman will say, I'm with you, we'll drink Gary together. And then she goes on Instagram and see a beautiful wedding and say, this is the wedding I want. And the guy's like looking at you and like, but I can't give you this wedding. So you see, the issues are beyond the guy and the woman. The issue is also the society. It's about the society. So if a guy says, I don't have the money yet, and if he's genuine, he doesn't. He doesn't even know, how do we even go through the process of wedding, not marriage. How do we go through? And I will have to cough out $1 million or more just to have a small wedding, so that my wife will not say that we didn't even have a small wedding and beat me all the rest of my life. Not beat with cane, with words. You know, women know how to beat men with words. You didn't give me the best wedding. You didn't give me the best wedding. You didn't give me. And she says, so the question is that I think that it will be easy in a society like Nigeria and Africa, where it's really difficult for women who would look beyond the visage, who would see that the reason why I'm here is to help this guy bet purpose. The reason why I'm here is to help him achieve purpose. If women arise like that, I don't think it will be difficult for them to get married. I don't think a man will not be able to sense it. A serious man who loves God will not be able to sense that a woman is really beyond, seeing him beyond money. To be honest with you, I think that's the level where my wife got to, where that's why I got comfortable to move ahead. Because she got to a place where she saw beyond money. She believed in me so much beyond money. So the question is, can women get to that place where they will believe a guy and see his future beyond money? But for a woman to do that, there's something she also has to know about God. Because it's God that will have to assure her that this guy you're going to go with is going to be great. Go with him. You see it matters. So you can't do this thing out of logical proclivity. You can't plan it out logically. You can't see much. So you need a spirit to assist you. And how better a spirit than the Father of all spirits, speaking of God himself. So it's a big issue, and I've had to leave it. I'm a guy who grew up in Lagos, and I knew how difficult it was for me to go to school. I know how difficult it was for me to get a job. I know the things I've had to do just to push my head around. And I've known, you know, when we were even trying to cast out visions to ladies, and how they'll say, no, it's not you. I hear your vision, but it's not you. You don't have the money. Do you understand what I mean? So it's a huge issue. So I think that both parties would have to grow together and see beyond money. Because if both parties are actually surviving outside in themselves, so a woman is living, she's doing well, she has a job, and then for marriage now, what she wants is that she just wants a guy who would pay all her bills. Why? It's not realistic. Wow, that is beautiful, but that's not realistic. The guy who you are dating cannot do that now. He cannot do that. So can you see beyond the fact that I'm looking for a guy who has a car, who's already made, or we're going to put our resources together and we're going to serve the purpose of God, and we're going to trust God to lift us. If that is going to be the thing, it's going to be much easier to get married and move ahead.
So
figure out stop there.
Go to the other parts, because I said we're going to go to the other parts where men think that money is equal to purpose. Before we go there, you've raised a very important point. Now, the ladies would argue that, but there are some of us here that are, of course, in our 30s and all that, we have the money, we are ready to grow with them. I can't, if I can count how many times I've seen that on Instagram, I'm sure I will be a millionaire by now. They'll say things like, oh, I'm ready to grow with the man, I'm ready to do my part to help and all that. But it just looks like men are intimidated to get with us. That's the one part. So I wanted to speak to that. Then the other argument that I've seen in my research is that, not even in my research, there's some of this Q&A and polls that they put out there, and you see women who have the means and wherewithal say things like, I'm very okay getting married to a man maybe who doesn't have it all, as long as he's okay with my lifestyle as well. He's okay that I want to travel, he's not arguing with me, we are not fighting, as long as I can do what I want with my money. Is there a conflict of interest? Is there a challenge when a man gets married to a woman who earns more? Is it that the man expects that, oh, so as you earn more now, so don't travel if you used to travel before? Or does it give men problem? I just need you to help us break it down, because there are a lot of women now that have money, have the influence and all that, but what they're saying is it's really challenging. It's like men don't want to get with them without saying, oh, you must sit down here, you're not going anywhere, without, if we're not going together, we're not going anywhere. So I wanted to speak to that psychology and help us understand better that situation of a woman earning more, but it's desirous of getting the man who will come with me on this journey, but it's like we can't find the men. They don't want to come with us on the journey. What do you say to that?
Okay, I'd like to first rephrase it. I think that I get the question, but I think that is how the women word it. I think if the woman says, I will come with you despite my money, you see, that is not come with me. The man is not supposed to come with you. You're supposed to come with him. Your wording is wrong. Because you have money, you now think he's supposed to come with you. No. The order is that you submit to him, he submits to Christ, Christ submits to God. So you come with him despite your money.
That's
you see,
true.
how you word it. So
you think the
sincere,
like
it's not going to. It's what you say.
Yes.
So you say, I'm going to. If you say, we've been cutting for 3 years and I believe in your dreams, I believe in your vision, I'm going to come with you. I'm going to make sure it will be my life dream to make sure that you succeed as a man on the earth. You think he will run away? It's how you see it. And how you say it speaks to how you see it in your heart. Really, it actually speaks in how you. So you see a woman just wanting, and guys know it. There are guys who have fell into that trap. She's doing all right. The only thing that's missing in her life is a man. And so the man comes in and becomes the one that is used. So she has a car, she has a job, she just uses him for emotional. The man just feels used. And there's nothing as terrible as putting a man in that place to be used. Is a man, if you see the tendencies of a man, he speaks what a woman would call, he's violent, he's too harsh. A man has that fighting spirit. That's who he is, that's how he's created. You don't want to kill that spirit. Because that's how he fights, that's how he walks, that's how he goes out. So you need to preserve that spirit, you need to encourage it, you need to clap for it, you need to praise it. You say you are going to be the best. If he's a musician, so you are going to be the best musician there is. Because me as your wife, I will insist on it. You think he will run away? He won't run away. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's really the perspective with which the woman sees it. Do you see because of your money, the man now has to submit to you? Or do you see that because of your money, now you have a higher chance to make sure that the man achieves his purpose? How really do you see it?
Okay, that is an important point that you have raised. So what should be I know you said the wording, what should be the right order for women listening to this? Because that's one of the important reasons we're holding it. So should they say, oh, honey, I'm going to submit all my salary to you. Once it gets into my account, I would submit it so that they can learn. They can learn
so
the right order.
I'll give you I'll speak from about just a little bit about my marriage and my wife. Like I said, I married someone who's a Briton, and of course, you know that she earns more than me because of the fact that pounds is more than naira, right? And so, but you see, just because that you can't compare, it wasn't because of my money. Then again, there's something that I had that I still have, I believe, that is more than money. I believe it, and I think that she was able to see it, right? So I'll speak to a little bit about how the finance can be structured in terms of reality. I think that what we do is that we see the family as one, and we see a general pot. So we see there's a financial pot we call the family pot. And from our different salaries, no matter what it is, we contribute into that pot. So that's family pot. That's what takes care of all of the expenses, rent, what have you, feeding, whatever you, and out of that family pot, we don't just expend it. There's an apportionment for the future. There's an apportionment for savings. There's an apportionment for investment. There's an apportionment for our future children, investment, education rather. That's called the family pot. And out of each our salary, because she earns more than me, because she's been in the UK and all of that, it is not fair to take all our money and say we will take the same money where I'm the man. I think that's wrong. I think what we do currently is that she has a percentage. So it can be any percentage. What we currently do is about 25 to say out of her salary. So it means that what she takes for herself would always be more than what I take for myself from my own salary. But we do not see the family pot separately as one. So if a woman is saying that I'm going to, what you are saying is that I'm submitting to your purpose. And what that means is that you must understand that what it means to submit to a purpose or help see a purpose come true, money is just a part of it. Money is not going to be everything. There's a way you talk to a man before he leaves the house in the morning when he's weak and tired and he doesn't want to fight again and say, no, you that I saw, you that is great. I left all the men that were trying to ask me out and I came for you. You that I see being mighty, in the city. You are going to get that contract. There's a way you say to a man, he will rush out and go and get any, he will step on anybody. He doesn't care again because his wife has said to him, you can do it. That's more than money. But everything is not money. So the woman must be able to belittle money, though it's important. Belittle it in your mind so that you can see what you can do beyond money and really see his gift and see how to expand it, how to, position him so that he can get better. He's actually beyond money. But what you would have really in the real thing is that at the end of the day, if you bring in your own, like what we do, that's a template that I want to say that the Holy Ghost gave me when we were preparing for all of this. She has more money as herself, and I brag about it. Because for me, remember, I'm supposed to love her like Christ loved the church. How did Christ love the church? He died. So I want to live a life where I'm dying every day. That I believe that is love, that's sacrifice. I'm never going to ask her, bring all your money to me, I'll manage everything. No, that's wrong. That's not fair. That's not reasonable. Right? So I think that it's about how you look at it. Nothing is casted on stone. How it was 10 years ago or 100 years ago, it can be different now. You have to make it work for you. You have to make it work for you. But what I believe that the order must be that should not be touched, no matter how you want to walk around it, is that the woman submits to the man submits to Christ because Christ already submits to God, right? So, yeah.
So do you think, thank you so much, Daniel, so insightful. This interview is really good. Do you think now that at this time, perhaps, it seems as though women still don't understand some of these things, and that is why, because your action speaks louder than your intention. I already put out as a quote that I put out next week or next 2 weeks. Yeah. So it's nice to have want to intend something, but if your action is not in alignment, then we cannot say what you are.
You don't mean it.
Do you think that maybe women in this generation, some of us, not all, have the intention of all this? Oh, I want to see him, I want to submit, I want to do everything, but they are not acting it out. Do you think that that's the situation?
So I would not want to conclude like that without drawing it from a bit, going back to history to draw. We must understand that, especially those of us who are African, we had parents and grandparents, especially for women, mothers who had to submit to husbands without even knowing them. Most of the marriages at the time we arranged. So a woman just saw a husband today and she had to marry him today, right? And so she had to submit. She had to, whatever he did, most times the men cheated, the men married other wives, she couldn't say anything. If she reporting anybody to anybody, then it was a council of chiefs, the council of elders. That's what everybody listened to. Whatever they said was wisdom and right. And they'll say, stay there,
Just
stay there. You know, so these women cried, their daughters saw them crying, and now the daughters have been able to go to school, and they're saying, no, not me. I'm not going to submit to any man. That is really the intent of many women's hearts. They say it with their lips, but the truth is that the pain they've seen their mothers go through, they have said that they will never, is what really drove many women to be successful. I'm never going to submit to any man. So whereas you are telling God, I want a husband, I'll submit to him, God really knows your heart. And for many sons of God, they can see it, they can discern it. Be careful of sons of God, though, and be careful of daughters of God. If you say you want a son or a daughter of God, know that you have to be real. They will discern it. God, because it's marriage, you can't come out of it. God will show them. So don't come and think you can deceive anybody. If really what's in your heart is that I'm just going to marry so that I can have a child, and everybody can just stop disturbing me and saying I'm 30-something, I'm not married, I'm 20-something, I'm not married. People can just leave me alone. What is it, self? Let me just marry somebody. But that's wrong. That's the wrong attitude to it, nonetheless. So I think that sometimes we must check the real intent of our heart. And sometimes it's not our fault. It's what we have seen, the pain we have seen. Many women have seen pain. They have seen their mother stayed in the house because she didn't have finance of her own to do any other thing. She didn't have much option. Many daughters have seen their mothers abused. Their mother even said to them, you must not suffer the way I suffer. You must not suffer the way I suffer. Focus on your education. Be serious with life. Have your own money. Else men will rubbish you. Else men will do this. And from the other side, there are certain men that have seen their fathers being horrible and have said, me, I'll never be as horrible as this. So you see the dynamics. So even though a man is coming with a pure intention to say, me, I'm going to love you and only you, many women don't believe it because I know my father now. I know his friends. Did they love their wives and my mother? No, I'm going to protect myself by all means. And that's where you find. So when everybody's coming with an half measure, everybody's coming halfway, half measure, you know, it doesn't result. So those are more. So some women, it will be very unfair to say that women are not well-meaning. But sometimes you find that the heart is really deep. And certain things that what most people would try to call trauma and all of that, try to give it big names, it's just what you have experienced all your life. Just what you have experienced all your life. Yeah.
Okay, that was really insightful, because at the end of the day, for some people, yeah, exactly. Kelly is saying, Obendeke said, there's so much suspicion everywhere. And I like what you said about men of God and women of God, because they will discern it. Yeah. So it's not so much how much you're jumping on Instagram or how much you're saying I'm wife material, all those that people do nowadays is really about that part of you, and which is what, anyways, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because what you are saying that I can almost say hidden, but you have the responsibility. When I say you, the women, you have the responsibility, and men as well, to go in there to work on it. It's not for someone to come and do the work for you. So I believe that lives like this, conversations like this, going to help to bring out some of this unknown. So we start to wrap up now. I really enjoyed this conversation. Let's speak about is there any, okay, if there's anything I want to ask regarding what we just finished, I will. But let's speak about men now thinking money is purpose. And that's a key point. So when you don't even know your purpose, then you cannot know who is going to help you. It's not body organs or body parts that are going to take you to your destination. But that happens, or we have that dilemma, because people don't even know where they are going. So the things you need, instead of you to concentrate on it, you are busy concentrating on the non-negotiable. So what do you have to say about men thinking once I've arrived, like you painted the picture for us? It's very hard for men. So a lot of times when it gets to the point of arrival, they just want to lord it over, like I'm ready for marriage, and sometimes use the wrong traits to choose. What do you have to say regarding that?
Yeah, I think that we live in a world where money has become master of many people. A lot of people serve money now without even knowing. And rightfully so. We live in a society where money is exalted so much. Even the songs you hear are money inspired. It's about money. When I make the money, I'll show the blings, the cars, You know, so society in itself preaches money to you, preaches just get this money. You'll be all right when you get this money. You'll just be all right when you get this money. And so then again, it's not just the men. The women also want and appreciate men with more money, if you want to be fair. You know, a woman will see a guy with see that car. She's even with her fiancé or boyfriend. But she say, see that car. Wow. You know, and the guy is feeling inferior. Me too, I must get this car. Yeah, I must. You see how it is. So it's a two-way thing. Money is just and it's a necessity, but it's become an evil and word. And the truth is that we're just not good students of history. There was a time where money was not the concept. We're just not good students of history. Money is not the thing. So the truth is that there was a time where it was trade by barter. There was a time where there were other things that we were using to survive without money. So for the time where a family or a clan have all that they need to survive. They had all they need. They didn't need to go anywhere. They had a farm for rice, had a farm for cassava, had a farm for maize. If they needed yam, they would, they exchange it. So they had everything to survive without money. So this was a reality. It's not myth, or it's not, So money is just a medium of exchange. And the question is, whilst we teach prosperity as well, the church also needs to do well. Whilst we teach prosperity and all of that, we also need to begin to talk about contentment. Because where then do you stop? So if I have it, I want. So when then do you then stop? Where's the place where you say, okay, I've gotten enough? Because it's never enough. There's going to be a new phone coming out. There's a new version of car coming out. It's always going to be like that. So when will it end? It's just a circle of madness, really, if you ask me. But I think that there's a required measure that is required to enter, which is I need to take up my bills, and I need to begin to say that we have enough to begin to save, invest for the future. So you don't want to bring children into the world. I'm not for that. Bring children into the world and begin to say, God will take care of them. It's not my God. God will sort them out. It's something that we see a lot in Africa that gets me really angry, and that's why we have a lot of children hawking, which is terrible, by the way.
They call it
I don't want to begin to. They will come. Yeah, they will bring the money from where? What a funny way of thinking, really. If you ask me, and the children will come with the money. Which money? So I think we have made a root shocker. If we are still not learned now, I don't know what would make us learn that children do not come with money. You have to be ready with money to cater for them. So you find that certain men who have now pushed themselves tooth and nail to have this money, they feel like a god. They feel like now every woman that have said no because I do not have money, if I slap you with money, you would. And women seem to just like it. Just give me money, I'll be fine. My love language is money. Don't we see it everywhere? So the men like, if I get money, if I have money, I'll be able to command respect. If I have money, I'll be able to command. That's the problem. If I have money, I'll be able to command money. So men do not even see themselves above money again, because society, in a way, have seen the success or attribute the success or failure to a man if he has money or not. So if he has money, he's successful. If he doesn't have money, he's not successful. They make it as plain as that. And so the guy just say, if I have money, then I'll be successful. Then I'll be able to command respect from my society, and then I'll be able to show my wife that I'm really a man indeed. But to what basis? So it's unfortunate, because even Christians are like this. And so that's why I always like to say that there's a place that we can get to. God will show you things, treasures that are higher than money, and you will see them. If you catch a glimpse of them, you will be elevated. You just see that money is just a means to an end. It's just a means to an end. It's not the goal. It's just a means to an end. And money is not all that you need. Money is not all that you need. You begin to value other things like relationships with people. Begin to value other things like even your integrity. Some people can do anything for money, say anything for money, tell a lie for money, step on people for money, just do anything just because of money, And they think that they are smart, they think that they are wise, because they've so much exalted money. And so both the man and the woman need to begin to see the real intent of money, and begin to see that their marriage, we're not coming together so that we can buy a house. That's not why you're coming together. We're not coming together so that we can buy a car or raise children. there is what God will have you do on the earth, and God will use your marriage to achieve it. If that's the goal, that's something that is higher than money. Money will just be a means, one of the means to that end.
Amen. Okay, Daniel, thank you so much. I want you to please speak to this. One of our listeners just pointed out, I think that's important, that there's suspicion everywhere. And suspicion from the men and the women. That's why you have a lot more people still being single. And I also want you to speak to this situation where some women think that men are intimidated. Is that true? Or is all that you are, because you've shared a lot of things in the part of this. We've spoken about that, so you can rewind. For granted, speaking about physical, we've spoken about that, so at the end of this live, you can watch the replay. So back to what I'm saying, the parts where, because we have a lot of, where I'm hammering this, we have a lot of women who are single in their 30s. They are crying in private to be married. I just have to put it out there. They are crying. Yeah, you can come out, do all the makeup and do it, but they are crying. They want to be married. They truly want. In fact, some of them have even endured abusive relationship all because of that, of just that's wrong criteria and all that. That's what we're talking about here. So is there an intimidation of men, or is it that these women are just not positioning for real men? In your opinion, I know you can't pull out data for everybody, but just in your opinion, what are some of these things that what are some of the things you can advise that some of these women can do and learn? And also maybe speak to the intimidation thing regarding men. Is it true, are men intimidated, or do men just think these women are not going to submit to me because they are 30 and they are their own boss, or whatever it is that people put out there now? I just want you to please speak to that, because it's really a sad case. But yeah, that's what.
Yeah, I think that first of all, we must admit that we don't live in a perfect world. And the world is not going to be, it's never going to be perfect. That's why it would have to be destroyed. It's never going to be perfect. So if it was going to be perfect, if we're able to achieve a perfect world and a perfect system, and there would be no need for the world to be destroyed, right? You know that. So that's first. And life is not fair. It's not fair that some people are billionaires and some people die because of hunger. Right? It's not fair that people should die because of malaria. It's not fair that children at 10 still have to be sent out to hawk to fend for themselves. It's not fair that an old woman in her 70s have to sit down in the hot sun to sell the entire value of a market is just 3,000 naira. The entire value of a market is there for hours, and there are many of them. So who would anybody even buy from? It's not fair that a child who's supposed to be in class at age 7 is on the streets, even smiling with bananas on her head, not even sure what her future is, because so life is not fair. And so sometimes you find that a woman would have done all that she needed to do and yet not get married. I think that women should be proud in themselves, be okay in themselves. When marriage comes, it comes. If it doesn't come, you are great. I think that's the first place to get to. That you would serve a purpose in yourself and be happy in yourself with God, so much so that you're not going to see yourself devalue in any way because of marriage. You're not going to make yourself feel like you have not achieved anything because of marriage. Because then again, it's a thing of, it's something you can't really do much about. It has to be a guy and you that will decide to go together. And so if the guys continue to hurt you, the guys that you see, there's nothing you can do about that. You can't change the guy, you can't mentor them, you can't go to their whilst they grow up and try to train them to be better. You know, you just have to accept it. Then again, we must accept that life is not fair. It's not fair. It's just what it is. Now, to speak to the fact that certain men are intimidated, I think that that would be fair to assume, because then again, if men have ego, that's because they're leaders, and that's because not because women are also not leaders. It's just the fact that men, in the makeup of a man, what makes a man is the fact that he can have dominion, he can lead, he doesn't need to have everything. I think it's madness to want to control everybody, but I think that he just wants to see that I set certain plan, certain goals, and I can see it come to pass. He wants to brag in that. Perhaps a woman wants to brag in her beauty. She wants to brag you know, in our jewelries. She wants to brag in herself. She wants to look at it in the mirror and say, oh, I look good. My clothes. I'm not saying that something is not important for both the man and the woman. I'm just saying that for the man, it's really about what can I do? What can I set out to do and achieve it? And so there comes that ego. And so when he sees that he's done his best, he's done. Men also brag in the fact that they want to also provide for their wife. So he doesn't even know how to provide for you. So am I just going to be watching you buy things for yourself? I'm just going to be looking. So he doesn't know how to manage it in his head. So I think it's a bit of a dicey. So it's not really intimidation to the end that he cannot go ahead. He just doesn't know how to make it work. So I think beyond what we're saying, the Holy Ghost will teach women how to go about it. I think it's the way to go about it. So it's about you are doing what nobody is willing to do. It's not wrong, but you are going to do. I think it's the order. The closest way to understand it is what Ruth did for Boaz. There are things you are going to do that will cut you apart, set you apart from the many ladies who are not going to say, no. I mean, I'm never going to do that. It's all submission. Don't. There are things you are going to do that will make sure the man will know that you really love him and you are going to submit to him despite your money. You can't fake it. You can't say I'm submissive when you're not. You have to get to that place by yourself. You have to really get to that place. You can't fake it because you will show. You will show. You just make a mistake and you say something and you just, this one's not submissive. It's the way you talk to him shows that you don't respect him. It's the way you talk to him or regard his family or comparing with other guys. You just don't know. You just think you are gisting and you just say this one. You see, so it has to be who you become. So it may take time. And whilst you are working on all of that, just know that there are many women in this earth that are not married. They might have done something wrong. They might have done all that they know to do. I mean, there's many women that have even done better than those that are married. So it's not really a function of it's a cause and effect type of thing. It's just what it is. It's just we live in a world that is not perfect, right? And it's just what it is. So what you can do for yourself is make sure that you have your peace, you retain your joy. What I would recommend is that you commit yourself to the service of the Lord while you try to work upon yourself and be best. And just be friends with guys. Don't try to send that signal of I won't marry. I think it repels men. Just try to be friends with guys and know that you are okay yourself and God loves you for who you are. Make yourself so valuable. This is the last thing I'll say. Make yourself so valuable that God will insist that he connects you to one of his sons because you are so valuable, a help that he cannot leave aside. He must commit you to help a destiny because you've made yourself so valuable in his presence that you say, this one, if I connect him to this my son who is trusting God for a wife, their destiny will blow. God also does things because of his glory. God will do things because of himself. So the prayer you have been praying, there's a life that there's the way you elevate your life, you become so important that God will say, this one must marry. Not because of your own reason. God will do it for his own reason. Because if he connects it to a man, that man's destiny will be fulfilled. And if that man's destiny is fulfilled, God's purpose will be achieved. And God will take all the glory.
Okay. Thank you. I have two last questions for you. Although I wanted to ask one question from the point you're making. I can't exactly remember the question now. But my second to last question is spirituality. Is there a measure or a weight for saying, oh, the man is more spiritual, the woman is more spiritual than the woman, and therefore this is how we should get married? Because some people still tackle that I want to get married to this guy. It's not even about money or whatnot, but he just became a Christian 8 months ago or 10 months ago, 1 year ago. He seems to be on fire for God. Me, I've been a chorister. I'm even the lead or assistant lead for 5 years now. Like, how are we even going to do it? How am I going to be submitted to him? Some women, that's their problem. It's not money, it's not anything, it's not age. It is that situation of, I don't know, I'm going to be submitted to somebody that is working in less time, that I started with maybe a baby Christian or has a lower amount of years working with Christ compared to me. What do you have to say regarding such situations?
I think that's actually interesting. It's a passage of the Bible came to mind, which I'd just like to share. I can't remember where it is, but if you search it, I think you'll be able to get it. So when Jesus was giving a parable about an employer who employed a certain set of people at the beginning of the day, say maybe 8 a.m., given our own time now, And then he said, oh, I'm going to pay you for today's work. I'm going to pay you 10,000 naira. And then he went out again. They agreed. It was a good bargain. Oh, we'll work per day 10K. Wow, amazing. Let's go. Let's go to the factory. Let's work. And then at 2 p.m., he saw some people. What are you doing around? We are looking for a job, but there's no job. Come now. Come and work with me. And then he saw some people. Mind you, the factory closes by 6. So he saw another set of people who will be working around 5 p.m. He said, just 1 hour to the closing time. What's happening now? Why are you not working? We've been looking for a job, but no job. Yeah, come and work for me. So everybody came at their different times and worked. But at the end of the day, he gave all of them 10K. And the ones that started working from 8, that's not fair. That must not be fair. You can't give them 10K and give me 10K. But I said, but that's what we agreed now. Am I not allowed to be generous? So I've said that to say that you cannot measure spirituality by your concept of time. It doesn't work. This the guy you're looking at can just be 1 year and he has grown farther than you. It's about how you're consistently. So if you have been singing in the choir for 5 years, the question is, what mysteries have you bettered? It's not just about your time in church. Doesn't have anything to do with it. There's somebody can know God for 1 year and has grown for God to trust him. My wife has been has helped me place it Matthew 21:16. Thank you. So that's what it is. So I think the question is not to say I've been in the choir for 5 years. He's just living his life 8 months. I think the question is to say what are the fruits he's beginning to manifest? Can I see joy in him? Does he have the love of God in him? Can I see patience in him? By the fruit you shall know them. So don't forget time. Does he have self-control? Is he moved by every other woman he sees around? That's the natural tendency of a man. So if a man has grown, you see that he's not moved by every woman. That is one of the indices. That's the secret to know one of the indices that the man has grown and is continuing to grow. Is that he's not really moved by the tendencies of women. The back, the front, doesn't really move him. Because that's the natural, is the normal thing for a man. So if a man has grown above that man has really grown. And that is what's the fruit for that? It's called self-control. It's part of the fruit of the Holy Spirit. There's long suffering. You want a man who will be able to suffer with you long. He's going to stay with you and be that rock that you need, despite your emotions, and he's just going to be there because he has mastered long suffering. He knows that this is going to last for 70 years, and he does it with joy. You see, that's growth. He can achieve that in 1 year. That's what he needs to find. So it's by this fruit you shall know them, not by the number of years. You can marry a man that has been 30 years, he's been in church, he doesn't know nothing. He's not grown. He's just been there.
Yeah.
So it's about the fruit. Yeah.
And that already answers the question which I've addressed many times of women trying to look for men who have positions in church to think that equals to spirituality. I think you've already answered that. So it's not, that doesn't necessarily mean that, you need to now look for status. Is this status symbol thing that people are trying to do in marriage or via social media? And I trust that actually that answered that. The final question here before we go to your rapid fire question is, so you have been married for 7 months now, and at the time of this video, it's going to be years and years of celebration by God's grace. As people continue to watch and gain wisdom from this video, what's the difference between singlehood and marriage that you can clearly, like they will say, give out for free to men, especially who are just thinking, I beg, what's even there, Seth? So you can share with us. That's how I would like us to wrap up before we go to your rapid fire question.
Okay. So I think it's beautiful to be married.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful to be married, and I've enjoyed marriage for the 7 months that I've been married, and I know that I will enjoy it all through because I married an amazing woman. Glory to God, and that's just the message of God. It's not something that I can say to you. I calculated, my strategy was on point. I can't even boast about that because how we even met was a miracle. By the way, so I think that first of all, I think that while I'm always speaking to the Christian marriage, is because we can look at the Bible as a guide. You understand? We can look at the Bible as a guide and be correct. You know that, for instance, now in the UK, the civil partnership I'm talking about, can be converted into marriage. So, and same sex, a guy and a guy can decide to register themselves for a civil partnership and convert it to marriage. You see, so society will still call it marriage because the laws has made provision for that. So, if you want to talk about marriage, what then would you really use as the borders? So that's why we speak to the Christian marriage, because we know that with the Christian marriage there is a border, there's a guide, right? So for us, when we were courting, I would always say to my wife while we were courting at the time that marriage is not going to be much different from what we are doing now in courtship. What we were doing in courtship was to deliberately do like a rehearsal, what our mind would look like, even though we were living apart, we were in continents apart. I made sure we tried as much as possible to make sure that what we were doing in our courtship, in our conversations, was so serious that if we entered marriage, it's not going to be too different. So I think that helped a bit. So it would just mean that it was just two people doing the same thing differently. Now they are doing the same thing together. So the shift mentality is not difficult. So, for instance, we would talk about the Bible together. We enjoy having time talking about the Bible together while we're courting. We do that while we're married. We have time where we pray. We do that. We have time where we will just gist. We still do that. But now we're doing it apart. Now we're doing it together. I'm just mentioning a couple of things, right? Of course, there'll be a number of things. We already knew what the finance would look like in terms of the arrangement, the structure, how it would work in courtship. And we have begun to already practice it. So it wasn't difficult to be able to set certain systems in place. Of course, she being an amazing person where she just sees what I say, she brings her suggestions, we bring it together, and we all submit to it, right? She being that person is a miracle, because I know that there's certain women who fight it. No, it's not like that, you know. But when we come and we agree on all these things, and what I try to do, because I also must submit to Christ before I expect her to submit to me, is that I say, okay, this is a strategy that the Holy Ghost has given to me, and this is the evidence for the Bible. When I say it like that, she says, oh, it's Bible, it's God, and she sees it because she has the Holy Spirit. She senses it and she says, it's true. Only you're correct. We may not see it as examples with other people. What we have is different. It's our marriage, how we grow up is not the same as any other person. So our mind is going to be different, right? The only thing I think to be consistent, like I've mentioned before, I just want to reiterate, is that the wife submits to the husband as the husband submits to Christ, and as Christ already submits to God. That's structure, that's the chain. If you try to alter it, God is not going to put his name in there. That is what is enshrined in scriptures, right? So for men who would say that what's really there, what is there is that, first of all, just to speak of society honors marriage. People look at you with a different lens of eye in terms of responsibility because you're married. There are certain jobs that they will not give to you except you're married. There are certain doors that will not open except you're married, because they don't believe that if you're a Christian, there are certain positions you will not even rise up to in your local assembly except you're married. They don't believe that if you cannot manage a home, you're 40 and you have not made a decision to be married, how can we entrust you with leaders? How can you then be leaders of the youth, where you'll be talking to both male and female? Where's all your fleshy tendencies? Are you going to be sleeping with our young girls in this youth church? They're wondering what you're doing. They don't understand you. So marriage will give you a cushion where your wife will be your first witness. If your wife says that this man is the son of God, they say, yes, it's true. Because if he's not the son of God, she also says it. Yeah, so that's your first credential.
Yes.
Your wife, first credential. So if your boss wants to really know you, we just invite both of you and say, you're Mrs. So and so. Okay. She wants to see whether she's happy. If she's happy, it means this man is a man, he's a gentleman. Because if she even decided to come for the meeting with the husband, it means this man knows how to manage a home. So society itself can gauge you in many ways just by being married. Then again, one of the things you have, that you have somebody that what they will be concerned for their life is to ensure that they have your back. How beautiful is that? That somebody that you did not grow up with will just say that for the rest of my life now, I'm going to have your back. And I'm telling you, if a woman says that she's going to have your back, you can go and sleep. You can go and
Yeah,
sleep.
that's true.
Women have the tendencies. If a woman cry to God for you, you can go and rest. You can. There are doors that open. To tell you the truth, I actually count my wife as the visible favor. So I do not doubt that God favors me now. I have a favor at home. My wife, she's favor, the embodiment of favor. Do you understand? So as a man, you know that there's somebody insisting on you. There's somebody that will speak to anybody for your sake. Once you are there, just at home doing your thing, you say, my husband is looking for a contract. Please do something about it. There's a way women make things work. You have one person networking on your behalf. You say, my husband, we must cry. And you're making her happy. She's insisting in prayers, in connections. She's talking to anybody. You know how women can talk to anybody now. She tells your boss, my boss, my husband looking for a job. She doesn't really, that's a woman for you. And imagine you have that on your side. So that's what they're going to gain. And then you are going to be somebody who would have to contribute to the continuity of godliness. So you are going to, with your wife, raise godly children. How beautiful would that be? And then again, if you have been chasing 1,000 by yourself, just the coming of your wife, you'll be able to chase 10,000. You see the advantage. It's enormous. I can continue to go, but it's just enormous. You just need to see it. It's enormous.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you. I can see thank you so much. If you've got questions, please just quickly use the question icon as we're wrapping up now. I can see one question there. So your question is to come in within the next 2 minutes. So please, the question icon, not the comment section. Thank you. Okay, so the question is there. Thank you so much, Mommy Mo. The right fit marriage. Yes, hearing from men with clear cobwebs, exactly, and just help to balance things up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Deborah, for just being Daniel's hype woman in this live. Like, I'm just totally here for it. Thank you so much. And thank you to my amazing husband that has joined the live.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here briefly. All right, I haven't seen the question from you, Grandel Tech. I haven't seen your question. Please let it come in within 120 seconds. We have Beth here asking you, was the guest speaker's wife 100% okay in terms of character or submission, or did they have to work on it? Okay, so he or she, this person seems Beth, so it seems it's a woman, is asking if your wife was 100%, I will use the word maybe perfect in terms of submission and character, or did you both have to work on it? She wants to know. We're waiting for your question, Grandel Tech, so that we can round up. Yes, but that question is from Beth. A question from Beth.
Okay. So I think that whilst we try to look at the perfect law of liberty, that's the Bible, and expect perfection, we must know that we're dealing with people, right? So I think that what you should find beyond the act is important. Beyond you must find the spirit. There is the spirit of, when somebody really wants to do something, and you know that it's really just because they are human, they are falling short. So with time, they'll master it. That's what you really want to find. So you want to find, for instance, as a guy, a woman who really wants to submit. She may not have perfected it, but what she wants from the depth of her heart is submission to her husband. And you also want to find a man who wants to love you like Christ loved the church. That's all it's all about. If he's crying to God in prayer, it's not because of a jet, a private jet, or me too must have a private jet. No, it's about me too. This flesh must be tamed so that I can love my wife. This flesh must be tamed. No. I cannot cheat on my wife. No, I must love her. I must. That's what you need to find. That spirit. So the spirit. So it's where your heart is, because the truth is, out of the abundance of the heart proceeds the issues of life. So the issues of life, since we see as life, it comes from the abundance of the heart. So if a person's heart is constantly filled with a desire as a woman to submit and as a man to love, then you are good to go. It's not about perfection yet. It's about the desire, the true desire, the sincere desire to submit for a woman and then to love for a man.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering that question. The next question is coming in from Joseph. What role does the man have to play in regard to all this? Please, Joseph, take our time to clarify your question in all this as far what, because we have been talking about a lot of things. So please be more specific. What role does a man have to play in? Please be specific so we can take your question. Don't forget to drop it in a few seconds. Let's move on to the next one. Grandel text says, so what's the most important factor or formula for choosing a godly wife? I believe that person is a man asking the question.
So I think the formula is to first of all take yourself and go and stay with the Holy Spirit. That's the only formula you need to know. They that are led by the Spirit of God are the sons of God. So you'll be led. He will say, chat out now. Ask her if you're doing. She said, okay. Just pray for her. Okay, now just buy her something. You just need to be led. There's no particular, just be led. But how do you then master hearing the voice of the Holy Spirit? Like I said, I want to speak to the Christian marriage. I cannot get to speak to several marriages outside the Christian marriage. I've tried to give reasons for that. So as a Christian, you want to carry yourself and go and bury yourself in God, so that when God says, you hear it. If he does, you hear it. If he says, wait, you wait. If he says, go, you go. Honestly, that's what happened to me and my marriage with my wife. It was just the leading of the Holy Spirit. It's not some poetry thing. I not do a little bit of poetry, but it's not really that. That's not why she said yes. It was just the leading of the Holy Spirit. I would mention there are times that I now know now that she was down. I said, how you doing? How you feeling? And just because I got the prompting, message her now, ask how she's doing. And I'll just do it. So the formula is to be guided by the Holy Spirit. That's why I said that in this matter, you need the Spirit. And whilst there are many spirits, is it not better to submit yourself to the Father of all spirits? Yeah.
Absolutely. Before we go to the last question that we have on the icon, this is really profound, Daniel. What do you think about their situations? Speaking about the Holy Spirit, there are situations where Christians, let's even say, well, since I've had I work primarily with women, they have a situation where they say things like, oh, I dreamt of this guy, saw this guy in a dream, or God told me he's the one and all that, and the guy is not acting like it. In fact, the guy is not interested. There are even some situations where the guy has gone on to get married. But let's even talk about the one that is still single. And we still have the women waiting around. As objectively as possible, what do you have to say regarding that? When they say, oh, God told me about this guy, but the guy's not coming around and all that. Because I like what you're saying regarding the Holy Spirit. What do you have to say, at least at this time, regarding that situation? Because the situation that often causes conflict. I know a particular client that came in, she had become bitter because she had 3 different guys, according to her, that God told. And they just all, in fact, I think they all were to got married and all that. So should a woman move on if the guy, I guess that's the core question, if the guy is not coming forth, despite her seeing him in a dream and all those other things that she has said that convicts her that this guy is the one for her, even though he's not showing it in person, in his character?
Amazing question. I think that I've also heard about these women having to sense that, oh, this is the guy, even dreams, or maybe even one prophet say that this is the guy, he's going to be like this, he's going to be a yellow tall guy, and then the only yellow tall guy in your life is not interested. So I think that dreams are very mystical, and at best your interpretation is only a part. The Bible says that we will see in part. So even the dream and your interpretation is only a part. At best, the best prophet, what will do to you, what will say to you, is only part. It's only a part that they are able to see. So I think that the wise way to submit yourself to a dream like that, if God shows you 1, 2, 3 men, and you sense that it's really about marriage, that's what this dream should be leading on to. I would suggest that you just pray sincerely for them. So why I'm saying that, why I think that's a wise thing to do is because the concept of marriage in the eyes of God is that God will bring a woman to a man because the man is overwhelmed with the vision he's given him. So the woman will come and help him. So pray, even though you're not thinking of marriage, you're not bothering, pray sincerely and say, this son of yours I've seen in my dream, God help you. Help him to know you. Help him. Just pray sincerely for him. Let God see. Say God has told you. Let God see that you are genuine about his progress, his son's progress. Let that be a test. Let that be that amongst the many women around him, I'm the one that wants to see him succeed the more. Let God orchestrate it. Do you not believe that God can orchestrate it? You know, we think we believe God, but the way we act sometimes, we don't really believe him. Just pray for him. Don't bother. Whilst if he's somebody that you are close to, maybe in your fellowship, in your church, be friends with them. Be friends with them. You know, greet them. How you doing today? How's work today? Don't come and say, I see you are the one that God has said you married. Why are you wasting time now? Yield to the calling of God. Don't say that. Just sincerely. And if he goes on to marry someone else, be okay with it. I said the first place to stay is stay at the place where you know that you are one with God already. Marriage or not does not reduce you in any way. Excuse me, ma. There is no marriage in heaven. No. In the world to come, there's no marriage here. Everybody's on their own. It's only on earth. So nobody's better than you because they are married and you're not. Don't just be friends with the guy, but insist in the place of prayer on your knees. Don't even say, Lord, make him come and ask me out. Don't even just say this one that I've seen in my dream. Let him succeed. I think that if a woman takes that posture in her heart, she will strike a chord in heaven. I honestly believe that.
I think you've answered it well, and we'll try to cut out this part so it goes as viral as possible, because we have situation where the women go to meet and they're just embarrassed.
Yeah.
There's a situation where and the man just cuts off contact.
Yeah.
This man is supposed to be a spiritual man, and they're just wondering, hey, what's happening? Well, you know, so it's just a lot of confusion. You've answered it perfectly. Maybe God, I didn't even prepare this question, but I know that this is an answer to somebody, because many women say, oh, this man, this, I saw him and all that, but you just answered it. You solved the case for us. Okay. Finally, we need to go now. Okay, I think Daniel would have answered this question in a way or the other, but I'll merge both questions so we can wrap up. Beth is asking, in the case where the guy is the will of God, but the lady is older, somehow he has answered this question, but I'm sure he will speak to it. What should she do? The guy is the will of God, the lady is older in age, part one, and then the final part of the Joseph has redefined this question. He's saying, what roles do the man have to play pre-marriage and in marriage? And those will be our final question. Taking questions anymore.
So I think that the age thing, first of all, there are marriages that I know of that the woman is older than the man and they're successful. Start from there. Believe that it's already been done. So the reason why you struggle with it a lot is if you think that you're alone, you're the only one within that, having that, you know, specificity. It's not, you're not the only one. It's actually existing, and it's been, I've actually been in the customer service role for a long time, and by virtue of that role, I've had couples call in, and the woman in their 70s, their 80s, the woman is older than the man, and they are all happy. They might be behind my one. I just need to speak to my one to verify if we will go ahead with this product. I just need to speak to my, and the woman is older, so it's been done already. So that's the first thing I'd like to say. Secondly, I'd like to say that the man has to, the posture of the man is that he's not going to look at you in a certain type of way. He's not trying to manage, he's not trying to marry you out of pity. Don't allow anybody try to bring marriage to you out of pity. Say, I'm just married because it's pity. I've dated you for a while. It's just pity. Other than me, if other girls were saying yes, I would not have come. It's just pity. Never, don't see. Just stay with God. Don't put yourself in that type of nonsense. Let him honor you as a woman. It's not about age. He has to get to that place in his mind. Then you also have to get to a place where you say, you're not going to say one day that you small boy, I just pity and marry. Never, you too. Never get to that place. You have to continue to submit. So the question you ask yourself is that in 30 years, you used to be able to submit to him. When you are 50 and he's maybe 47, and you have done your 50 years birthday, and nobody has seen him done his 50th birthday, and you're wondering.
Yeah.
So those are the things you look at. Will I still be able to submit to him? will I begin to knock him in the head and say, if not because life was bad to me, I would have married? Is it because I married you? But a small boy, when I was in secondary school, you were still in primary school. Will you begin to do that? So it's not just about now. It's not just get married now, right? So it's about both people getting to a place where you know that this is for the long haul. When you be 70, will you still honor him? And whilst your hands are both feeble and your legs are feeble, you still, make an effort to make meal for him. Do you think about all this? I think people, you need to begin to take yourself into where you prepare. It's not like I say to my wife every time that this is not business. So where you say, the business did not work, let's not do it again. It's marriage. It does not work. It works. That's in English in marriage. It works. It always works. It's because it's all bad way to work. In business, you can say to a partner in business, we have made profit, but let's end the business. I'm not happy the way you used to look at me. I'm tired. In business, you are fine, but in marriage, God does not expect that. In marriage, what happens is that even in the bad times, what happens? God will say, "Oh yeah, settle. It works. It's going to ever work." So that's what you are getting into, and so the mental preparation and the spiritual preparation is important. And so I've said two things. First of all, know that it's work. It's continuing to work. I've given you examples of people in their 80s that is work for. Secondly, the man has to get to a place where he's going to always honor you and not look at you somehow and feel like you are his last resort. And you also will continue to honor him and not also feel like he's your last resort.
Okay.
And then the second question.
Yes. The other person was asking about what are the roles of a man pre-marriage and in marriage. I want to assume that he's talking about should men, because there's these things like, should men give women money? All of what role should be playing as a boyfriend, and what role, when does it transition? Is there a big difference between that boyfriend and husband?
I think that, I wouldn't want to attempt to speak to this in terms of people's little proclivity and individuality as to the several things. So if I decide to give you money, am I better than those who decide not to give you more money? There's no scale to begin to weigh that in the scale of things. Really, what I would say, and what blessed me, I went to a youth program while I was in Yabatek. It was an amazing program, and this man of God came, and he was supposed to teach on finance, and he just taught. I think it was a woman of God. I can't even remember now. It's been a while, and she just he taught on how that the preparation before marriage, in terms of that, all that you need to do now as a young person. Now he's acting as a male, but I'm speaking, this teaching back then was generally to both male and female. So all you need to do now is not begin to look for girls to ask out and say boyfriend, girlfriend, because we were in early 30s at the time. So depending on your age, I think that this is for a teenager or someone in their early 20s, it's not to begin to look for the best women to ask out now, because the tendency of you marrying that person is very slim. There's a lot you've not sorted out, right? So I think that what was the advice you gave then, which I hold dear to, was that do all that you can to focus on your life. That's the best thing you can do to prepare for your marriage. Focus on your life, because that's the time you need to focus on your life. If you can focus on your life where maybe your mates are just playing around, bragging that they have 6 girlfriend and they have 6 badges, 3 here, 3 here, girlfriend 1, girlfriend 2, girlfriend 3, girlfriend 4, girlfriend 5, girlfriend 6, and they raise their shoulder and say, yes, I'm the big boy in school, I'm the big boy in town. While they are doing that, you are learning this course and you're learning that course, you're applying for this course, you are meeting mentors to show you the way people who have gone into the industry are interested in, you're asking them questions and they're telling you, make your LinkedIn fine, just come and work with me for a bit, I'll just tell you some secrets. And before you know it, in 5 years, you'll be so ready that when you just begin to think of marriage, you will just click. So the real issue that I've personally seen is that individuals come, but they are not ready. They come unready. A man comes, but he's not ready. A woman comes, but she's not ready. In age, they've advanced in age, but they are not ready. So there's a lot of clash. And this X thing, dating several people, has done many harm than good.
Exactly.
Many harm than good. Imagine a woman you have dated maybe 5 guys, and it wasn't like you were trying to be promiscuous or anything. You just felt that this was going to work, it didn't work, and this was going to work, it didn't work. You said at 18, it was going to work, it didn't work, it was going to work, it didn't work, it was good. Before you know it, you just think all guys are dogs. That's your submission. That's your, or maybe you have dated many girls and they've all, for some reason, because they're not ready for marriage. How can you be dating a girl that is 18 and you think she's ready for marriage? She's not going to be ready for marriage. Or 19 or 21. Really, not many ladies at that time trying to survive. They don't even have a job. They also, whilst you are also trying to survive, and you're saying, I love you, she's also saying, thank you. I need to rise first. You know, she wants to see what's ahead of her, right? So whilst you just say, women are proud. You have certain assumptions that will cage you mentally, and then when you are now ready, that will now be the thing that will now be holding you back. So I think it's best to, like that woman of God or man of God said in that meeting, the best thing you can do for your marriage is prepare yourself. Whether you choose to give a woman money, do it because you want to give. Why did you choose not to give? That's you. You know why you want to give. Maybe you want to save, to invest. Look for a good reason to do what you're doing. It's not really, I don't really focus on what people do. I want to look at why are you doing what you're doing. You know, does it make sense in this grand scheme of things? We link it to many other things, right? So I think for a young person, that's what you do. But if it's a mature person and you are ready, you're just preparing to be married, you're working, you're earning, I think the next thing to begin to do, what I was doing was praying. I was praying. I was trying to sharpen what my vision would look like. So when my wife comes, or the woman I'm trusting God to be my wife, when I cast the vision, I won't be sounding as if I'm not sure. So I was the Lord. Expand my mind. Why am I on earth? I was sharpening my vision. And so when she came, when I said it to her, it clicked. I said it with the compassion in my spirit, because I've said it to myself too many times to mince what. I've said it to myself, oh, I know why I'm here. I know why. I'm not confused. I'm not unsure. I'm super sure. This is so a passion that is more than money. And that's what it takes. That's what I believe it takes.
Yes, you have. And we'll definitely have to call you back for another topic entirely, Daniel, because you are just so, God has given you wisdom for this. And I'm so grateful that you have decided to share your wealth of knowledge here with us today. Thank you so much. As I was thinking that I just want many people to get it, because the other day it was a video trending of women with wedding gowns and all that. I see many of our brothers and sisters in Christ doing a lot of prayers and all that, and it's important, but they are not enriching their mind. So therefore there's a gap. When you pray, you have to also, that knowledge is important. Even the Bible speaks about it. The part where you need to fill yourself with knowledge, wisdom, so you even don't pray amiss. But many times, everybody just wants to rush to do the activity. But like, I'm sure if I sit down with 3 of those women who did wedding gown and ask a few questions, some people are not even set. You think it's on God, really is on you. You are the one that still needs to do. So we'll just keep finding ways in our organization to spread this kind of message so people get the right wisdom, because it's a problem. It gives me problem. But yeah, let's get to your rapid fire question. Just a fun way to end the conversation. Thank you so much for everybody that has stayed today. Thank you, especially to Deborah. Okay, your first rapid fire question, you cannot answer it. You shouldn't answer in less than 30 seconds. So yes, it shouldn't be more than 30 seconds. Okay, the first is, what's your favorite color?
White is my
What's your favorite color? Okay, what is your favorite food?
So that would be more so, I think my wife knows I like a combo of a lot. So if you add the fried rice and then put salad and then add plantain and there's a chicken on top, you know, I just like a combo. I'm a combo guy. just bring everything together in one.
Okay, what are you allergic to, if there's anything?
Allergic? I think that I'm not allergic to anything in terms of, but I think what if you speak of irritation, what irritates me is you know, like this burns for you. You want to see that women are really, doing all that it takes, and men are doing what it takes to see marriage. I've known that about you. Since I've not come to know you, your husband, that's just something that you cannot even sleep on, So it would irritate you when you see something. I just, this woman is just not ready. She's just not ready. She just needs to know a lot of things and then to be ready. And then you just want to see it happen. For me, it's just when I see that people are not, passionate about God, and they're not focusing on purpose. They don't know that you are here for a reason. You're just not here to just exist. There's a reason, and if you can find it early, you would have done yourself a whole lot of good. So I'll say I'm irritated by that. Not in the sense to blame them. Just that irritation is just a passion to go and see if I can share, if I can assist, if I can help. So it will be that.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. What is your best movie?
Wow. I think I love action movies in general, but I think I've always really loved The Expendables. I see that one is coming out in cinemas the 22nd of September. I want to watch that. That one. Wow. I've loved the Expendables parts. I'm just an action guy. I just like to see actions on my TV. Bag, boos, bag. Yes, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Okay. What is your best book?
Best book? I think my best book is the Bible of all time. I can read it again and again and again and again and again and again. Audio, visual, anything. Just bring the Bible to me. But not to be so. So I think I like the author Robert Kiyosaki. I love that guy.
Okay.
So much. Okay. Yeah. So I think I've read all his books. Except he has any new book. I just reading his book, keep repeating it. Yeah, I love his books. Okay. Personal finance. Yeah.
Okay. You already indicated that you were born in Nigeria. So, but if you were not given birth to in Nigeria, where would you have liked to be born into? What country would you have liked to be born into?
What country? I'd say maybe. I've always wondered what my life would look like if I was giving birth in the USA. Maybe I'll be taught or something, speaking like them, or maybe I'll just be a man of God or something. I don't know. I just always thought about it. USA. What if I was giving birth in the USA? What would my life look like? But I've never, rejected being born in Nigeria. I think that that hardship that comes with Nigeria, for me, it fired up my spirit. It taught me a lot of things. Resilience, a spirit that is tenacious. I think if I was born in a society that is too calm, I don't think I would have loved it. I like that. I pray that Nigeria would get better, but it would take us as Nigerians to make it better, and that we can do something about it. That spirit to fight. I think I love that for myself. love to have that. Yeah.
Okay. Gold or silver?
Gold. Obviously, gold is.
Black or white?
I like gold. White, obviously.
Yellow or pink?
Yellow. Yellow is close to gold, so yellow.
What is one favorite thing about your wife?
The fact that she loves to smile. She sings a lot, but it's just beautiful to watch her smile for me. Especially when I'm the one making her smile. I just I just love to watch her smile. Yeah.
Okay. What is one favorite attire for you to wear? Your one favorite.
Sorry, I didn't quite
attire. What is one favorite attire for you to wear?
Oh, I love the that the native suit stuff. It's just my thing. I like when you use a suit material to make the African native thing. I love that. I just love that.
Okay, yeah. What is your favorite thing to do?
To do? I think I like to just meditate on the Bible. I don't even know when I do it sometimes, because sometimes I just catch myself doing it. But activity in itself, in terms of, I like to play the table tennis. I like that. I like that a lot. I also like to just have a deep think of society, think of the gaps, where we can make it better, what we can do. I just like to be in my head where I can see things connect. Yeah, I think I can do that for several hours without even knowing that I'm there.
Okay. What do you like to do for fun?
Fun, I think, would be movies. I don't think I've been
Okay.
able to. I also like to hang out for fun once in a while. But if I hang out too much, I think I get tired of the energy. I can come with a lot of energy, but after 30 minutes, I'm like, it's time to go back inside. So I think movies really do that for me.
Okay. Small chops or jollof rice?
Jollof rice.
Fruits or vegetables?
Fruits.
Would you rather take the train or a ship, railway or waterway?
Railway. Safer.
The bus or an airplane?
Depending on where we're going to. An airplane if it's very far. A bus if it's not far. Depending on the location.
Writing or speaking?
Speaking recently. I also love to write, but speaking recently. Yeah.
Okay. Rain or sunshine?
Ooh. Sunshine. Sunshine.
How
Sunshine,
do
yeah.
you like to learn? Audio or visual? How do you like to learn? Audio or visual?
Visual. I have to see it. It just does a lot.
A
Yeah.
day at the
Visual.
beach or a day in one of your favorite restaurants?
At the beach? A day at the beach, yeah.
Okay, if you had a transformational wand, I used to call it magic wand before, but I've changed that. If you had a transformational wand and you could change one thing, just one thing in Nigeria, what would that one thing be that you would like to see changed?
I'll just change the mindset of people. If I can just change the mindset of people, better. I'll just change the mindset.
All right. And then finally, what do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered as someone who was able to prove that it is possible that the very essence of why we were created can be seen, can be mastered, and can be achieved. You know, certain difficult things to talk about when you talk about righteousness. You know, these days people are beginning to embrace immorality and say, that's my truth. You know, I want to be the person who will say righteousness is possible and that righteousness exalts a nation. That's the truth. I want to be that person who would be able to, within my family, in the context of family, make my wife very happy for a span of many years. So there won't be a gap. So when you imagine when somebody's happy for 70 years, it will take a spirit to help me to do that. But that's what I'm remembered for. I want my children to look at me and be proud. And when they say fathers are not right, they will say, no, it's not possible, not my father. Fathers are not loving. They say, no, not my father. I know that fathers can be loving because my father loves me, you know, to bits. So I want to be that guy who will be able to show that it is possible that as the church, the entirety, is one of the things I see as my mission. Or my mission is that we can achieve oneness. Beyond the denominations, we can achieve oneness. You know, those are the things I want to remember.
Thank you so much, Daniel. This recording is going to be on YouTube, SAGENEL TV. For those who say that they love the podcast, please don't forget to follow so that you can continue. There are past ones you've missed that you can watch, and then there are future ones as well. If you want to watch it on Instagram at SAGENEL TV or SAGENEL TV on YouTube, you can do any. That's SAGENEL. And definitely you must be following Daniel. Do not forget to follow Daniel at Danny Wellable. Danny, that is DANNY WELL Able, ABLE. So continue to get wisdom and insights from him. Thank you for all of our time, for everybody that has spent time here. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Deborah, for everything.
Thank you to my lovely wife.
Yes.
Yeah. My sister, my siblings are also here. So Betty's my sister, Joe's my brother. My mother-in-law joined sometime too as well. So thank you, everyone. It's been amazing.
Everyone. The replay is going to be available, please, so that people who did not join at the beginning, somebody was asking about physical attraction, all that, you can just watch it. It will be available on my page, Instagram, at sage_nel. So you can definitely watch it over and over again and share it as well. Thank you, and have a great weekend ahead, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.